Terrific. It does show us live on Facebook and YouTube, so I'll just give it some time before we get kicked off and started. All right. Well, good morning, everyone. I know there are a couple of people that are already starting to hop onto the broadcast with us. I was giving Facebook a second to alert you that we're live. So as you are hopping onto the broadcast, do me a favor and give us a nice reaction to the video. It can be a thumbs up. It can be a heart, any of those emojis that aren't the angry one. You can also comment into the section of the broadcast with any good morning remarks or pleasantries. That way we can know who's tuned in and give you some nice shout outs along the way. Perfect. So we'll get started and just dive deep. I know that I have Jason for only a small amount of time, so I want to be sure to have him provide a nice update overview and then get any questions or comments taken care of. You know that I love to give some basic housekeeping, and so I'll do that to get us kicked off and started. I am Juliette Abdel, President and CEO of the Westminster Chamber of Commerce. If you are a returning viewer, thank you for always being on here with us for the last year. Appreciate you not only engaging with us by commenting, reacting to the video, but of course doing your part by hitting the share button so others in your network can also see these videos and have access to them as well. Now, if you are a new viewer to our page, I hope you continue to come back to us. The best way to do so is to hit the like button on our Facebook page and make sure you're following so that Facebook alerts you whenever we do go live or we post any fresh content. Of course, if you know of others that are not able to watch this on Facebook, or if you yourself are watching this on our YouTube channel, thank you so much for engaging with us on both of those platforms. We are on all things social, so you can find us not only on Facebook and YouTube, we're on Instagram and Twitter at Westy Chamber, of course on LinkedIn, Westminster Chamber of Commerce. So with that, I want to transition and just quickly give a good morning remarks back to, it looks like Emilio Valdez, our current board chairman, Peter Brissett, and Dave Carpenter. Thank you guys for hopping onto the broadcast with us this morning. Now, Mondays I generally reserve for updates on all things COVID, what's going on in our city, county, state, and some federal updates. Of course, we've had some transitions, as you all were aware. If you tuned into our broadcast last week, I highlighted what those transitions look like for our city councilors. Of course, I also touched base with updates from the chamber and gave you some COVID numbers. Today, because I have one of my esteemed colleagues and one of my favorite people that I've had a chance to work with over the last 4.5 years over at the city of Westminster, since there is transition in his department, especially with his role, I figured it would be great for us to bring him on here. You've seen him before, Jason Gank, the Director of Parks and Recreation. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Julia. It's great to see you.
Of course. Well, thank you so much for being on here with us. I see your background and I have a feeling that it's just a screensaver, but for our own purposes, the background depicts, I'm sure, a part of our community.
Yes, it's Westminster Hills open space. And I wish it was that sunny and clear out today. And I wish I was standing on that trail.
Right? Yeah, totally. It beats the four walls that we have to sit in between the last few months, going on year, I feel like. But Jason, you made an announcement in the last couple of weeks, and this announcement, I know it threw me for a shock. It threw a lot of people because we've seen your heart and your soul poured into the city of Westminster, specifically the Parks and Recreation Department. And so, for those people that haven't seen your announcement, can you go ahead and share with them what this major piece of news is and kind of what that means for you? Oh, I think Jason is frozen on my end. If you are viewing this with me, will you do me a huge favor and let me know if you can either hear both of us talking at the same time? If you can only hear me. Jason is frozen on my end. If you can comment that in the comment section so I can figure that out and troubleshoot. Okay, it does look like I've dropped Jason off. So while Jason is coming back on here, if you are just now hopping onto our broadcast, we do have Jason Gank from the City of Westminster's Parks and Recreation Department. He is the current director. I know Jason is speechless. I tend to have that effect, Dave, for whatever reason. I do have that effect on people. Now, I think he has some issues with technology. Got to love that. He is hopping onto the broadcast, back onto the broadcast here momentarily. So I just want to go ahead and reiterate a couple of things. We have our update for this week is from the City of Westminster Park and Recreation Department from Jason Gank. Some major news that he has in his professional development, and of course what that means for the City of Westminster. So if you guys have seen the announcement before, then you probably already know as far as where Jason is headed, but if you don't know, then he'll go in detail on that. I know there are some questions as it relates to kind of what's going on with vacant roles or positions in the City of Westminster as some transitions have transpired. Please feel free to bring those on here when Jason does hop back on, so that way we can have a second to answer those. In terms of what's going on with COVID, since I always like to give you guys a COVID update at the start of the week, I did want to notify you that as of Sunday, we had the state go into a level clear, which essentially is a lot looser of restrictions and guidelines. The idea is to allow for our businesses, for our communities to go back to a level of normalcy. Both Jefferson County and Adams County or Tri-County Health have adopted the same approach as the state as it relates to the clear level. They are deferring to state guidelines so we can have some sort of continuity. Of course, even as we are transitioning into this new role, we still encourage you to maintain your health and well-being. If you are still uncomfortable going out or feel unwell, you can still be tested at any of our Fat Cats location. There are other locations across not only the city, but the state. Folks have asked about vaccines. Vaccines are still available. Our understanding is that there's still a large number of them to where you do not actually need to have those appointments to get access to them. So I did want to inject there and give you guys that update as it relates to the new level that we're in, this new clear, the support that we're providing our businesses. Now, be also respectful of mindful as you are going to those businesses. They do have the flexibility to go a little bit more strict on their individual guidelines. As businesses and employers, of course, of a workforce, some of them may still have in place different rules. And so we ask that you adhere to those rules if you're going to support those businesses. If you're not comfortable with any of those positions that they've taken, you don't have to go over there. We do want to keep this respect and mutual understanding going, that we're trying to empower our business community just the same as you are empowered to make those choices and decisions on a day-to-day basis. I do see Jason back on here with us, and hopefully, Jason, your tech is up and running. We've had a couple of folks, Brian Head and others, that have hopped on, and I think I've filibustered as long as I can. So,
yeah, I'm really sorry. It's definitely a Monday morning, so it shut down, and I can't even restart it. So I just grabbed another computer, and now you really know that I'm not in Westminster Hills open space, right?
I know.
Now we have that, but I just want to get on as fast as I could. Sorry, I'm really sorry. It's a Monday. That's all I could say.
You know what? I think your computer was just, it didn't even want to hear what you had to say. It's like, this is news that we don't even want. So we're just going to shut this conversation down.
I think that's what it was saying. You know, it's funny. I think it was right when you were asking, and I could barely hear you. Then all of a sudden it shut off. But yeah, I'm not ready to accept my transition either. You know, it is bittersweet that I am leaving the City of Westminster after over 8 years of service. June 8th is my last day. I am not ready to go. It's just I've shed a lot of tears and had a lot of just really hard conversations with myself as far as reflection. I think that's a good thing. I know that's a good thing. When you feel the way that I do when you're leaving a job, I think you want to miss it, right? You want to feel kind of, I don't know, like how much care and I have for the city and this organization is very difficult. So yeah, I'm having a hard time with it, Julie. I really am. That being said, you know, it's been 3-4 months of consideration to join Barry Dunn, which is a firm that specializes in helping state and local government organizations help achieve their goals. I'll stay in Colorado, so you'll see me around, but it's just a different calling for me. And it's, I've been doing similar work to what I'm doing now for almost 30 years, believe it or not. And while I wasn't searching for a new job, I never even applied for the new job or anything like that. It's just a different calling for me. And it's certainly an area that I have a lot of passion. But it's hard. I'm going to miss the heck out of this organization and our community.
Well, and I know you'll miss people that are constantly teasing you, like our former Mayor Pro Tem, telling you that if you were a CU fan, you'd actually have your technology figured out. I mean, you're not going to get that type of stuff in your new role. I'm just saying.
If he's going to say that, I'm going to say this isn't the green screen. This is actually the Oregon Duck color screen. Then if he's going to say that, that's my Oregon Duck green there, Alberto. I see your comment. Nice.
Oh, that's so funny. Tara, thank you for hopping on, and Lori, appreciate you both being on here. So Jason, congratulations on this new position. I know I've probably pulled at your heart even more by saying, like, I can't believe this. I do wish you the best in whatever you do. I know you pour your heart and soul into it, and I know that we'll figure out a way that we continue to see you and work with you and all of that. But what does that mean for the Parks and Recreation Department? I mean, every department has a leader, and they have someone that not only oversees the functions, but when done right, kind of like you were boots on the ground with the department, hand in hand. Not only did you enable your employees to really have their ideas come to fruition, you focused on strategic planning and KPIs and did this wealth of knowledge. And so what does that look like when we take you out of the equation?
No, great question. And, Parks, Recreation, Libraries in the city of Westminster, it's the largest department. We have about 1,000 staff, typically, certainly not during COVID impacts, but most of those folks are part-time workers, really the people that are providing the most direct service, the most meaning to our community, instructors, people that are mowing the lawn, people that are shelving books, you name it, people working very hard for this community. We operate pretty much from 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. pretty much every single night. So yes, it's the Department of Fun because it's Parks, Recreation, and Libraries, but when the department's a 3-time gold medal award winner, that was certainly before I got here. There's quite a bit of expectation. So it is a pretty extensive job. I got to be honest with you. There's a lot of work that needs to be done on behalf of our community, and I've certainly tried to put my blood, sweat, and tears into the organization. And that being said, I'd say that our leadership in the department and in the city, certainly our council, they're really the ones that are responsible for all. I get to be a steward, I get to be the voice, I get to be the ambassador, but I assure you, but because our citizens prioritize Parks, Recreation, and Library so in such a high manner, I think that I know the department's got an extremely bright future. And I kind of joked with our staff and I said, now I get to just be a fan, right? Now I can be on the sidelines and really enjoy all of your work. And so we're in a great place. We have a lot of really cool things happening, even as recent upcoming as this year, coming out of COVID impacts. Folks probably just got their new recreation guides. If you haven't, you should get it any day now. And it's filled, the guide's filled with information as well as online information. There's over 70 events, small events and other types of events that are happening, programs and services, so much going on in this community. Later this year, we'll open the Nature Playground at the Westminster Station Park. But Julia, you know me, I can go all day and I won't, but the point is that very, very bright future, so many exciting things on the horizon. And now I get to be this great fan of the organization and just to kind of enjoy the benefits of the staff.
I love that. I love that shift in perspective that you have, and absolutely right. You'll be able to see the output that they're able to produce. So you've seen it from one perspective, and you get to enjoy it from the second. And Lori just gave you a nice, quick, good morning message. Jason, as you are. When you do depart, and you did share kind of your role and how you've supported some of your staff that you've had, the 1,000 or so, whether they be seasonal or ones that you have on a continual basis in the city of Westminster, because it is a large department and it handles. I feel like it handles more than what the name of it actually captures.
Yes. I mean, you look at the medians, look at homelessness. Not to say that every department isn't working in those areas. Of course they are, but the champion of that, the staffing of that, the resourcing primarily of that is Parks, Recreation, and Library. So it's pretty comprehensive, and 1/3 of the entire city's 1/3 of the entire property in the city of Westminster is either parks or open space or green space. So we kind of touch everything. So we're involved in a lot. It's a pretty cool department, and it's a hard job to leave. Yeah.
And so when trying to attract those candidates, because I always say, it's one thing whenever we position ourselves and we're this great entity or organization that can attract people. It's another thing when you can find someone that's kind of like a shiny gem that you can pull in. It's COVID. It's a crazy time. People are leaving positions. They're transitioning. Are they planning on, and this was a question that actually came up in our, I want to say a couple of broadcasts ago, that there was this transition not only in your department, we see that also with economic development, for example, and their director who had vacated that position. Is the city planning on filling those roles? Do you know what their intention with that is, and maybe why there hasn't been that?
Yes, the answer is absolutely. Those are critical positions, as are all positions that we have in the organization. I think that Westminster is not alone. I meet weekly with the Adams County area directors. I meet every other week with the Jefferson County area directors, and I also meet every other week with the directors across the state of Colorado. And it's not just Parks and Rec. Every organization, just like our local businesses, certainly are struggling to get that pool of candidates, or in some cases even get a single application. By the way, a commercial break, if anyone knows a contact that's interested in seasonal employment, please send them to us. We are so understaffed. It's not good. So Juliet, it's hard. It is really, really hard. And even on these entry, mid-level, and high-level positions in any organization, it is really tough. And for me, my recommendation would be, it's still, I guess it's the same thing, with or without COVID, it's relationships. If there's organizations, if it's the chamber, if it's personal contacts you have of people that either might be candidates or may have a way to connect with candidates, now more than ever, it's so important to utilize those avenues. Otherwise, we struggle. I was talking to a local neighbor here in the city right by us, and we were talking about a division manager level position, which is a pretty significant position in any organization. Two applications of a job that's really a top tier job. We can believe it, but it's every city in Colorado right now, and it's a struggle.
Yeah, it's every city, every industry. I feel like it's an odd time where people are transitioning and trying to figure out this normal of going back to a normal, but it's not quite it. And so where does that leave them, and where do they land? So great to know that you guys are still hiring some of those season employments. Is that opportunities that's for any age group, or are those specifically geared toward your parks departments, in-office positions?
No, it's great. So right now the department is vacant about 32 full-time staff, FTE. If you could do the math of that, 32 FTE times 40 hours a week, that gives a taste to where we're hurting right now and our gaps in our service coverage. And that doesn't even count the seasonal staff that are responsible for the seasonal mowing and guarding our pools and things like that. So we are hiring for seasonals immediately. And Juliet, the way that I see it is between now all the way going into Q1 of next year, we'll still be playing catch up. So if folks ever had an interest of working for the city or any city for that matter, I'd say, because we're on the same boat, now is a great time to kind of take a look at what might be coming on the horizon, and maybe, clean up a resume if that's of interest, that sort of a thing. But, for my position specifically, it's been a little while since I announced, but it hasn't been that long. So we are just now finalizing, what we're going to do with next steps for the position. My last day is June 1st. But again, at the same time, we have a tremendous leadership team. We have a tremendous citywide staff. We'll figure it out, and we'll announce that ASAP. And I think, we're gonna be in a fantastic situation.
Absolutely. And Jason, at one point I actually captured that and said June 8th was your last day. So FYI, you're going to have to extend, I guess, another week.
I'll volunteer. I'll volunteer an extra week, why not? I already joked with them that for special events and programs, I say, I'll go and I'll be a volunteer. And already I'm getting emails for volunteer applications.
Oh my God. I bet you are, because you were the knowledgeable volunteer. Everybody wants that when you know the behind the scenes. You don't have to teach them anything. They just run with it and go. What a relief. So these 32 FTE positions that are vacant, these are positions that are new that are within your department? Are they ones that became vacant during this time? I mean, you know, our city prided ourselves for a while, especially during COVID, on holding on to these positions in comparison to other cities that did let go of some of their employees and really reduce some of their staffing. Were we in that boat and ended up having some reductions happen, or was that just organically decisions made by some of your staff people?
Yeah, so every situation is a little bit different with each entity, but for us, I will say yes, we had a strategic hiring pause, if you will, earlier in the year to make sure that the economy and we are taking care of our long-term financial sustainability. Now, that certainly did not dictate releasing 32 FTE. That did not happen. What happened was, and it's probably similar to other sectors, we had many staff that, because of COVID, wanted to be closer to their families. In many cases, those families were out of state. So they're moving out of state to take care of loved ones. We had people deciding when they're kind of, towards retirement, they decide, you know what, this COVID thing's kind of crazy, kind of woke, gave me new thoughts. So I'm going to go ahead and retire. I think, Rod Larson, our open space manager for over 40 years, Rod retired during COVID. So you start, and I've had many retirements. I've had many relocations for family. And candidly, Julie, I've had some people relocate because of cost of living. Our entry-level positions, think about the people that are taking care of our facilities, that are mowing the lawns, that are, all those types of things that, that I share. They're having a hard time finding a place to live. And again, in talking with other cities nearby, those entry-level positions are having the same exact thing. Cost of living in our area, the cost of housing has gone insane. So yeah, some folks, I don't want to misrepresent and say that's the reason for 32. No, but some just can't afford to live here anymore. A lot of it was retirement, and a lot of it was for health reasons, that they wanted to be closer to loved ones. So now we can hire these staff, but the problem is, the pipeline of actually recruiting quality folks, of going through all the steps, and the city has a rigorous recruitment process. My recruitment, by the way, Juliet, was about 8 months long. I'm not kidding. It was like everything short of taking my blood, right? But and somehow I still ended up here. They must have been scraping the barrel, right? But anyway, what I was trying to say is that the pipeline of even recruiting that amount of staff, plus all the other departments in the city, that's not easy to do. So we're going to be understaffed, under-resourced for quite some time, but we fully intend on bringing all those staff back. So the reason we don't have this, our full library hours, I get that question a lot. We don't have staff to run the libraries yet. So right now we're about 55% of our regular operating hours, but I assure you, as soon as we get staff to run the libraries and more folks, we'll have, that's just one example of many.
Yeah, no, I thank you so much for going in detail on the differences, because there are a lot of factors that are involved in that, and that always raises in folks' mind when you see a large number like that. What is that reasoning? And there's a lot that goes into play in different cases along the way. And I appreciated the self-deprecation that you provided about getting hired. But in all seriousness, Alberto actually said it best when he reiterated, we joke a lot and we tease you a lot about your allegiance with different sports and those likes, and your ability to even sustain, withstand any of those softball games or soccer games that you end up playing and all of that good stuff. But Alberto has shared, as I feel this sentiment strongly, is that Westminster is truly a better place as a result of your leadership and involvement in the city. So thank you for
Alberto, I appreciate that. And it's, this was a particular job that I sought for serving the city for all the right reasons. I've given my blood, sweat, tears in this job, many hours. As Juliet knows, I'm never off the clock, which is a little concerning from work-life balance. But nonetheless, it's a deserving community, and our city deserves every staff member, every volunteer doing whatever they can to make Westminster a great place to live and to work and to enjoy visiting.
Absolutely. I love that attitude. And I hope everyone does share that sentiment. Jason, there is another question that comes to mind, and that is, we are in the planning as far as the comprehensive plan for the city. There's also been a lot of discussion on updates to the budget and where they allocate their dollars. Where does Parks and Rec fit into this? Are you all
great? That's a great. So I'll be attending the council budget retreat here coming up, I believe, in a week or two. I got to look at my calendar to help to represent Parks, Recreation, Libraries. The city is doing now for the second year in a row a 1-year budget, and we're doing that, I think, for the right reasons of just making sure that our economy continues to recover and we're making the right decisions financially for the community. So we're right in the middle of a 1-year budget. We usually do a 2-year budget, right? We've done that for a long time, but it was the right decision. So this year, I did direct the department to have a 10% budget cut. And I did so because, I think that it's, half of our department revenue or half of our department budget is made up of fees and charges. And how can I possibly predict fees and charges in a year where I didn't even know we can open facilities? So we're currently operating off of a budget cut of about 10% for Parks, Recreation, and Libraries. It absolutely, I remain certainly front and center and attentive planning next year's budget, as does the entire leadership team of the city and certainly Parks, Recreation, and Libraries. So we want to be absolutely connected and doing the best job we can with the taxpayers' resources. If folks have ideas, suggestions, we have the citizen budget comment process that happens through our council meetings. We take that very, very seriously. If folks have ways they'd rather see the city spend the resources, we want to hear about that. But beyond that, we have our strategic planning, we have our other efforts that help guide our future. And also, I will say, Parks and Rec Libraries, we see over 2 million visitors a year. To give you an idea, our staff do a great job. We regularly listen to our patrons. If they want new equipment, they want new improvements, and we just try. We try as hard as we can. Can't do everything, but we do try to stay up to speed as to what people want in the community.
Yeah, no, I think that's perfect. And thank you so much for giving that and quantifying it in numbers. I know there's been a lot of presentations that are out there as it relates to comp plan and, of course, the budget. And I think really it was probably the most relevant for our city to have done a 1 year as opposed to a 2 year just last year, unknowing to the conditions of what was going on, because really it allows us to kind of see where we can pick back up. So I appreciate that. Tonight is study session for a city council. For those of you that are wondering and are curious, the study session agenda has been placed on the City of Westminster's website. I'll also go ahead and drop that link for everyone to the agenda into the comment section. But I encourage you, if you are at all interested in geeking out to all things related to our budget, which departments are receiving, what allocation, what that breaks down into, and just feedback in general, as Jason shared, there is a citizen budget comment process that the counselors do factor in, and as they are going back into those budget retreats, it'd be great for them to hear some of your feedback. Jason, I've been peppering you with questions. We don't look like we have any questions from the audience, which means that either they love our presentation or they're just done with listening to you since you've decided to leave us. So is there anything that I did not ask you that you had at the tip of your tongue that you were really trying to express to folks that you want to bring up right now?
Well, then I'm going to promote the department, Julia. I'm going to promote the department. I'm going to promote the city. I would say that if you haven't been out to our parks lately or open space, you may have missed many improvements. We've seen the outdoors and our open space be a tremendous support mechanism for folks just coping with stress and with the impact of COVID and those sorts of things. So I just challenge folks, if you haven't been out to a park or trail lately, do so. Beyond that, Stanley Lake opening, new parks opening. Here you go. Our downtown Westminster, believe it or not, this because of COVID and because of the timing of construction, this is actually the first full year, knock on wood, that we're actually running the downtown parks. This is actually the first full year we're doing that. It sounds even crazy saying that. Yeah. So if folks have time, the water play feature will be turned on. It is absolutely breathtaking. There'll be a number of activities happening down there as well. One more, I'll promote one more. I know we're limited on time, but we're having a number of outreach programs. So you might find art trailers, you might find library trailers, nature trailers showing up in your neighborhood or in your business park. A really cool way to program smaller events and really get in neighborhoods and get into businesses to help them. Last thing, June 1st, we usually do our free fitness week January 1st. We have this great program that everyone can try all of our classes and things for free. It's actually June 1st this year because of COVID. So if folks are interested in learning more about that, check out our webpage. But June 1st is that program where everything is free for the first week of June. And we'll be unveiling a brand new outdoor fitness studio and classroom at City Park Fitness Center.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for all those updates. Amazing what you can cram into that last minute. So much going on to your department, and kudos to you and the staff that continue to deliver for our residents, to think a little bit innovatively of how you can work in communities and really garner that sense of excitement, especially as we're coming off of something that forced people to stay in and not really engage outdoors. Lori is giving you a quick thank you for all your years of service to our community, Jason. I completely echo this. We've appreciated working with you. I know as a chamber, we have crossed paths in a number of ways, whether it was residential outreach, visitor outreach and support, or just the overall community and our businesses getting those needs taken care of. So Jason, while I know that our loss is their gain, know that you will not be too far from us. You still have to remain engaged and keep us updated. And we just thank you for the so many years that you've been able to provide to the city of Westminster.
Thank you, Juliet. Much appreciated.
Of course. So enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.